This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and for the first time, I am delighted to be joined by the WBO World Super Featherweight titleist, Mikaela Mayer over Zoom. Mikaela, how are you?
I'm doing well, back in Colorado after a little bit of fun with some friends and family, but I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No, I appreciate you giving up some time. I know you're a busy girl. Before we do reflect on your most recent performance, talk to me about your time off. What did you get up to?
Well, lucky for me, I fought right before my birthday, so I got to kind of enjoy my birthday a little bit. I fought on the 4th of July, which is Independence Day over here in America. So it's a fun holiday to celebrate. I got to go to Mexico and enjoy my birthday and my time off. And then, after a fight, it's like you just gotta give everyone a little bit of your time, your friends and family, and because I sort of put everyone on the back burner when I'm in camp. So that's what I've been doing. It's been fun.
Mikaela, obviously just moving backwards towards your last performance, your first defense of your world title against Erica Farias. Just reflect for me, how would you assess your unanimous decision victory in your performance?
I thought it was a good fight. It was an exciting fight. That's my number one goal anytime, that last bell rings is did I put on a good show for the fans? Like, because I know that at the end of the day, this sport is about entertainment. And I think people were entertained. She was a strong fighter. She did exactly what we thought she was going to do. I think that a lot of people underestimated her and thought they were giving me a nobody, but she was a multiple time world champion, defended her belt plenty of times, was well experienced in the ring, and she would always fought at higher weight classes. So she was coming down. We knew she was going to be game and strong. And yeah, it was an exciting, action-packed fight. She came hard, but I think that I always finish fights strong. That's where I'm able to really adjust and my strategy kicks in, and I always take over the second half. So yeah, it was good. It was a good learning experience. Really good learning experience for the next fight.
I was about to say, do you feel like it was the perfect fight for yourself to defend your title for the first time heading into what I imagine will be unification fights and what have you?
Yeah, and Top Rank knows that. They know that my fights from here on out are only going to get tougher, and so they weren't going to give me someone with little experience who would be a walkover for me in this fight. They wanted to give me someone who's going to be tough and durable, right? So I always believed I was more technically sound than her, but she's tough and durable, and I think it was a perfect fight to give me while we wait for Hamadouche to finish playing in Tokyo.
We will have to come on to Hamadouche shortly, but just want to touch on your record, 15-0, 5 KOs. Do you think your power is underestimated, Mikaela? Or your record doesn't suggest that maybe you're as powerful as what it should be?
I definitely do. And I think that anyone who goes into a fight with me, they know I have a punch. My punches are definitely hard and strong. I do believe that I am a longer round fighter. It's one of the reasons I've been pushing for 3-minute rounds, is because there are a handful of my fights that I believe would have been finished if I would have had, back when I was fighting 6 rounds, I would have had a few more minutes left in each round, that I would have had a lot more knockouts and stoppages on my record. So don't let that fool you. I do have pop behind my punches. And I know Erica Farias felt it in her fight. My hands are throbbing halfway through that fight because I was cracking her in the head so hard, and she could take some punches, that's for sure. We knew that when we saw her fight with McCaskill, because she took some punches in there.
It's interesting you mentioned kind of if you had a bit more time in the rounds, you may well have got the stoppage. It's obviously been a bit of a topic and a debate recently whether female boxing should introduce 3-minute rounds the same way that men's side of the sport has. What's your take on it? Are you for it? Are you in support of seeing 3-minute rounds introduced?
Yeah, I am for it. It favors my style, I believe. I believe that I'm a lot happens in the second half of a male fight. Think about it. I tweeted this the other day. While the men are finishing round 6, we're done. So think about in a male's fight, how much the fight changes, how much it could take a turn that second half of the fight. Happens all the time, especially when you have the elite of the elite fighting, the 2 top elite fighters fighting each other. There's not always an early knockout because there's strategy that plays role into that. And towards the end, you're going to find out who's able to adjust better, who has a better strategy, who is more well-conditioned, and who's the most elite in that fight. And so I do believe that it would benefit my style, but I also believe that it could eliminate any argument between promoters or boxers or whoever when it comes to women's pay, right? So I'm saying I'm trying to get ahead of the game. I'm saying give us a 3-minute round. So then we start negotiating more money as I build my career. They can't say you don't go 12 3-minute rounds though. We're not going to pay you what we pay the men. And so I think that us competing on the same level as them will also help to close that pay gap and help put us on the right track towards more equality in the sport.
So what do you think it will take for the 3-minute rounds to be introduced into the female side of sport? Do you think it just needs enough interest from the women boxers, or is there something else that needs to be done besides that?
Well, this came up in my last press conference with Bob Arum, and he said one of the biggest reasons that there was still this inequality in the sport is because women are not going 3-minute rounds. And I looked at him like, oh, okay, well, if that's how you feel, let's go 3-minute round. Let's go. I'm all for it. And he said, it's not up to me, Mikaela, it's the commissions. The commissions are allowing it. And I don't know, I haven't spoken personally to every commission, so I can't tell you how true that is or how against it they are. I know there has been some women that have been able to get pushed for 3-minute rounds and they got it, but I do know that it's not standard across the board, right? It's not one way like the way it is for the men, and I think it should be. And I think that they need to come together and figure out if that's an option for us or not, because I know the WBC had their convention a year or two ago and it was brought up and they said no, women will not go 3-minute rounds, and I don't know their reasoning behind that. I don't know who to ask.
Mikaela, obviously just moving forwards onto that Hamadouche fight. We've seen yourself tweet about it. We saw Eddie Hearn tweet about it. It's all been agreed. It's all been done. It's just kind of with Hamadouche away at the Olympics. What, when, and where are you expecting it all to take place? Has it all been discussed and agreed upon?
It was always going to be in the US. That was never really an argument. I think that's something that Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum agreed on right away. If you look back into the tweets and sort of like the build up towards me and Hamadouche, I wanted to unify right away. And it was sort of a battle between us. I was saying, take the date then. But you're saying that you have to go to the Olympics. So that's the reason you're not taking the fight, because you want to go to the Olympics. And I didn't like that at all. I think that if you're going to be a world champion, you need to be able to defend your belt. Or if you want to go to the Olympics, you should have to give up your belt and go to the Olympics. I don't think it's right. I think it's holding back the unification process in this division, the most exciting division in women's boxing. So whatever. Fact is now, where's Hamadouche? In Tokyo at the Olympics, like I said. So the fight, we finally got the fight done actually a few weeks before I fought Farias, but it's in October, November, later in the year, because she had to go to the Olympics, like I said.
So with that fight, when eventually you are in the ring and you're staring across from each other, what should the fans be in store for? What should everybody expect?
Definitely an exciting fight, as always. It's going to be action packed. I have the height and the reach to probably box and run like some of these girls, but I don't. That's not my style. It's not how I like to fight. I like entertainment, and I like to let my hands go. That's fun for me. And she does one thing, and that's come forward. So we know what to expect when it comes to her. I don't think she knows really what to expect when it comes to me, because I'm versatile and I can switch it up. Whether you've seen that in some of my fights or not, I can switch it up, and I can fight in different areas of the ring. So once I kind of catch on and figure out her game plan and figure out what she's doing, then I feel like I'm going to be able to adjust and, like I always do, come on strong towards the middle of the fight.
Obviously, you've got Hamadouche, Harper, and Choi as the three other titleists away from yourself. In your opinion, Mikaela, where does Hamadouche rank with the other champions?
I definitely think Hamadouche is the most experienced one of the champions. She's probably, and this is however you describe the word tough, she's probably the most guttiest and the toughest, right? She's going to come, she's going to make you work. I think that you have to be well conditioned to go up against someone like Hamadouche. But she does one thing. I think that I feel like I'm the most well-rounded boxer in this division. I think everyone in the division is good. Obviously, this is a tough division. I think they all do certain things well, but I do think I'm the most well-rounded, and I think I put Hamadouche right behind me. I really do.
Now, Mikaela, obviously, you've had your fair share of back and
which is the reason why Eddie reserved Choi for his darling Harper, right? Okay, and then feeding me the next toughest in the game.
So that was what I was going to come on to next, Terri Harper. And obviously, she was due to face Choi until a hand injury meant she had to pull out of that fight. Just kind of going over that. Firstly, if that fight had happened, or if it does happen still in the future when Terry's back, what do you make of that unification bout?
I think he definitely is reserving Choi for her and Harper, and that he wants to make that fight happen. He might give Choi a fight to like keep her sharp or whatever in between. I don't know, because it's a long layoff, and I don't know when Terri Harper is coming back. I'm rooting for her to come back. Trust me. I think this is an exciting division. I think it's a rivalry that women's boxing needs, and I'm rooting for her to beat Choi. But I don't necessarily think it's going to be a walkover fight. Choi may not be super technically sound, but she lets her hands go. And there are still things that Harper does from inexperience that, who knows? I think it's going to be I think it's a perfectly matched fight, but I think it's going to be exciting. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be completely one-sided.
So was there some form of plan in place, whether it had just been like a verbal plan between kind of your camp and then the matchroom camp, that say if Terry had beaten Choi, or the other way around, then the winner of that fight, unification there, two belts, will face the winner of you versus Hamadouche?
I think it's the only thing that makes sense. It's sort of like an unspoken thing that we all want to happen. I know we all want an undisputed champion. The fans want an undisputed champion. It makes sense that I fight Hamadouche, she fights Choi, and then the winner of each of those fights should go up against each other early 2022. There should be no reason, to wait and hold back. And I think that's given plenty of time to build the rivalry between me and Harper. And that is how I see it. I do see me coming out on top against Hamadouche and her coming out against Choi, and us having a big unification fight for the fans, and at perfect timing. Enough build up, perfect timing.
Mikaela, you mentioned building the rivalry between yourself and Terry. We've obviously seen over social media yourself and Terry have had some back and forth. Steffi Ball, Terry's trainer as well, also getting involved in it. Do you think either you've gotten under her skin and her team's skin, or she's gotten under your skin at all? How would you assess or kind of sum up the back and forths you guys have shared over social media?
I don't know. I don't really care. I don't really care what they think about it. It's not about them. It's really more about me wanting to unify this division, me wanting to challenge myself, me wanting to go undisputed, and making the most of my career as possible. I'm sure I've gotten under their skin a little bit. Otherwise, Steffi Bull wouldn't be hopping on Twitter, trying to fight back for Terry. It's a little ridiculous. I think you would never catch my coaches on Twitter talking shit to my opponents. Let's put it that way. But at the end of the day, I built the rivalry, and there's people now that want to see the fight happen. And I may not have a lot of people on your side of the pond rooting for me, but at least they're going to tune into the fight.
Mikaela, listen, I'm a neutral, so as long as it's a good fight, that's all I can ask for. Just want to touch on, you mentioned, kind of your coaches there. Keiko Roma in particular, he's received a lot of credit, a lot of plaudits recently. Why is it that he's starting to kind of not just come out more, but he just seems to get this right formula in place for the fighters that you're working alongside at the minute?
Coach K, as in like versus not.
What is kind of his secret to success?
Well, Coach K has been a part of my career for a long time. I mean, he was the coach on the Olympic team when I was on the team, and then when I turned pro, he was the next closest thing to me outside of Coach Al. And I thought, will you help me make this transition into the pros? And so him and Coach Al work really, really well together. Coach Al is the head coach. What he says goes. But one thing that I really love about my team is nobody has egos. No one brings their ego into the gym. No one has, too much pride, and Coach K knows his place. And that's like his old head, which means he basically looks up to Coach Al. He's learning under Coach Al because Coach Al is 76 years old, one of the last great boxing teachers of all time. And so Coach K is just the perfect person to help out with the physical part in training, because Coach Al can't always hold on to the ball and do certain things. And he adds that new age swag to the team and my style and everything. And Coach Al makes sure you're sticking to the fundamentals. So they actually are a great team together.
Obviously, you want to touch on Shakur Stevenson as well. How's Shakur doing?
Haven't seen him since. He's I think he's back in Texas, or he's in Vegas now. I still think training with Coach K, but I'm sure he's doing fine. He knows what he's a young, talented kid. Like, he's gonna have a great career ahead of him. And I think that anyone in this sport, I know he got a lot of backlash for his last fight, but you got to have thick skin in this sport because we have we have diehard fans, but we have some mean fans. So you got to have thick skin, and he's been through a lot. He's an experienced fighter, so he's pushing through, training hard, and ready to give his best the next time.
He's obviously waiting for that WBO title shot to come to fruition for himself. Jamel Herring, the current titleist there. You work with, you train with Shakur. Mikaela, what's your thoughts on it if it does get the green light and goes ahead, Shakur versus Jamel?
Oh my God, all I know is I'm showing up to that fight in all white, neutral corner. But I mean, I've known them both for so long, both on the Olympic team and national team together from 2012 to 2016. So, I'm not going to be pushing for either one of them. I just want to see a great fight. And I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I don't think it's going to be completely one-sided. I think some people think it might be, and I really don't. Like, I've seen Jamel Herring in the gym, and I'm a fan of his. I think he's really peaking at a strange time. He's a little bit older, but I mean, I think he's really coming together in boxing better than he ever has. So if this is the time for him, I think this is the time for him to take on someone like a young, talented prospect like Shakur Stevenson. And, we'll see who's the better man that night, but I just hope for a good fight and for them to both come out safe.
Right, Mikaela, we will leave that there now. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I thank you for giving up some time tonight, and thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Sorry I took so long.